Hello and welcome to Sunset TV. You're watching Discussion Today with me, Rajat Kane. In this episode, we'll discuss about the contours of draft tourism policy which is being worked out by the government. Now, apprising the Parliament earlier this week, Tourism Minister Prahlad Singh Patel said the government is working on a new tourism policy to help India improve its global ranking in the sector. The draft policy lays down groundwork required for facilities around popular tourist spots and developing new destinations, other than the popular ones. The draft policy also lays emphasis on encouraging even the domestic tourists to explore several spots within the country which has hitherto not been explored, or to say hasn't become tourist hotspot so far. Well, total contribution by travel and tourism sector to India's GDP is expected to increase from 15.24 lakh crore in 2017 to 32.05 lakh crore in the year 2028. And total earning from the sector in India's target to reach around $50 billion by the year 2022. Well, these are the figures that were taken into consideration, and of course now things stand a little different after COVID-19 pandemic. To discuss further on this issue and how we need to tap our tourist potential, we're joined with two guests. Many thanks for joining us, Mr. Avinash Mishra from Niti Aayog and Mr. Dheeraj Kukreja, CEO Piccadilly Hotels and Resorts. Well, let me start with you, Mr. Kukreja. Last 1 year, we all know it has been difficult for entire economy. Our lifestyle has changed, especially the one sector that has taken maximum hit was hospitality and tourism sector. Could you just elucidate how difficult was last year and how you guys are bouncing back?
So, you see, I've been in this industry for over 28, 29 years, and I've never seen something like this, and I think nobody could ever imagine that we would face a situation where the hotels would be shut, tourism would be non-functional. It all came as a shock to most of us, though some small indications had started coming, but we were always optimistic that things would get over faster than it actually happened. You see, the first few signs of the virus in China came in November, December, and we were told by March or February that things have started recovering there and things were getting better. So all of us thought that it's a 3 months phase. It started there in November, December, got over in February, January, and hence if it is starting here in about March, we would expect this thing to get over by May, June, and we would be back in business after that. So whenever most of our hotel seminars, people would inquire as to what do you think, I said, we can only learn from what has happened elsewhere in the world and, try and work. So all of us then had town hall meetings, told our teams that, we need to be prepared to be at home for some time. And accordingly, we planned the cash flows. Accordingly, we, decided how we would function, how do we pay. Hospitality, as you're aware, is a place where, a lot of people are employed, as against manufacturing, where most of the money goes into ingredients. In the hospitality, most of the money that we spend is on the manpower. Ingredient cost is there, but it's not as large.
Right.
And hence the manpower, you see, we had stopped buying ingredients, but the manpower cost continued and it was putting in immense pressure. While we as a company, because of our financial strength and because of the support of the promoters, could withstand a lot of small hotels and restaurants that shut down. I know of a lot of my friends, juniors, subordinates, colleagues who we worked in the past in various companies who have lost their jobs, and in fact, only recently I got to know somebody was under so much pressure that he decided to open a vegetable shop. He was a hotel manager. Okay. And eventually, with loans and EMIs, he had a lot of tension and he had a heart attack. So anyway, that's not a general standard thing, but I'm trying to say is there was a lot of pressure on people in general, particularly in the hospitality.
Right.
And I think the it's not a 3 months, but it's been nearly a year, and we are still struggling to get back to be on our feet and to function again.
Right. Many thanks, Mr. Kukreja, for your opening remarks. Mr. Mishra, talking about the tourism and hospitality sector, and of course, like tapping, or realizing the potential of India's tourism sector, what do you see in the draft that, of course, will be extremely helpful to the tourism industry as well, to hospitality industry? Of course, at the same time, achieving the vision, what the government says, exploring and reaching potential of a cultural and historical heritage as well.
You see, we have got the immense architectural and the cultural potential in the country. But unfortunate part is this, it has not yet been explored the way it should have been.
Okay.
And you see, the post-pandemic, we could see the impact and particularly the trend what the millennials today have to go to the countryside to enjoy the eco-tourism and that. So the policy what we are designing or which has been prepared is certainly having all these parameters that what should be the ecotourism, in what way actually ecotourism should be promoted. And moreover, our cultural sites, we are lacking with the guides, we are lacking with the civic communities in and around infrastructure connectivity to those locations. So we are trying to develop all these things, and they are there in the tourism policy, keeping the view in mind that we need to have the long-haul tourist in the country. So a person who is coming over here and can really enjoy. We can, of course, seeing the France and their contribution in their GDP, ours is very less, 1.2%.
Right.
Despite we have got something around 39 UNESCO and World Heritage structures in the country. But it is not that explored because the advertisement we are lacking, the augmented reality, virtual reality, all these things are lacking. I think we need to develop that. And post-pandemic, certainly, we are also trying to see that those who are providing the services, they are also well sanitized and the proper certification is there. And also the units, the hospitality units, those are going to really stay them, they should be there. We have got the yoga, we have got the wellness.
Right.
So all these needs to be promoted. So that's how actually the government is working on these lines.
Now, that's really important, Mr. Mishra. 39 UNESCO World Heritage Site, and still we have the tourism sector, which is yet to reach or realize its potential. Mr. Kukreja, I mean, if I ask about, say, I mean, just this off the remark, how much of the heritage structures or the city having these heritage structures attract tourism, or is tourism in India more driven with, say, natural advantages of mountains and beaches and hills? But in terms of these historical places, how much of tourism potential have we tapped into it so far?
So you see, very interesting question, and very happy to answer. You see, there are a lot of places in India which have become immensely popular, which have gone on the world map, and people come to see that. But the focus has only remained on those and not others. So we continue to show the Taj Mahal at Agra, we continue to show the Ajanta and Ellora in Maharashtra, we continue to show Qutub Minar in Delhi, the forts and the palaces in Jaipur, and nothing beyond it. There is so much more each city offers. Now, the information is not available to the world. You see, we are catering to two kinds of people. A, we are catering to people coming from overseas, called inbound tourism. And we're also talking about people who are from within the country, which is called domestic. Now, let me tell you, people within the country do not know.
Right.
How do we convey this to the world? How do we convey to our own citizens is something that we need to really work on. I'm of a very firm opinion that the world is going digital today. Anything that you want, you go to Google or to Yahoo or MSN and find out. So where is that information available? Just to give you a small example, I was my brother-in-law was wanting to go to Jammu and Kashmir, and he requested me to identify some hotels that he could stay, which were not 5 star, but more in 3 star, 4 star category. And I thought JK Tourism would be a place where I should go. Now, if you try and book a hotel on JNK Tourism site or try and get some information, it is not there. It is just not user friendly. I think if we have to cater to the millennials, if we have to cater to the world today, if we want to really spread the information, I think we must have information, all the information about our country, all the places that one could visit online, and it should be easily accessible. It has to be. So we need to have a professional company doing this job. It would be a major exercise, and I'm telling you, it could do wonders.
Okay. Right.
Talking about natural places like the beaches or the forests, of course, there are people. I don't think you would find a foreigner coming into our country to see snow, because there are a lot of destinations in the world which offer snow. There are places in the world which have beaches, but you see, the architecture is unique to our country, and hence must be promoted.
Right.
Now, most of us, let me tell you, when we think of a holiday, what do we think of? We think of a holiday to go to Simla, which is the hill station, or go to Manali, or go to Goa. Do we ever think of going to places which has architecture or the heritage? Most of us don't. However, if we go to a city and we find something of that kind, we say, okay, might as well visit that. Now, this perception has to change, and that can only be done when we have to really glorify or portray this in a very big way and make people understand of how beautiful things are and what we should be doing about it.
That's
Prahlad said yesterday that tourism is not about fun; it is also about learning.
Right.
Now, this heritage site is one good way of what we can learn from the past, or what we've done, or what people have built. I was talking to Mr. Kumar Vishwas the other day, who was staying in the hotel, and he mentioned to me that he started this story about Ram, Apne Ram, after he went to Europe and his daughter wanting to see certain places which had heritage link. And there was a story. And then he said, there are so many stories in our countries which we need to explain. You see places in America where a movie is shot, is shown to the world saying that you must go to that spot to see a place where this movie was shot. Now, what is the big thing about it? We in India have history which we can tell to the world and to our own people. You see, if we are able to sell this idea to our own people, our Indians, our fellow citizens, I think we would be very busy.
Right. Mr. Mishra, I mean, quite a valid points here raised by Dheeraj Kukreja here in terms of the untapped tourist potential, especially in the areas which, of course, like we have architectural wonders and heritage. How does, what do you expect of a new or say draft tourism policy to address these issues?
Actually, see, we are trying to develop the circuits, or it has been developed, circuits. And say, for instance, the Asian and East Asian countries, if we are able to explore the Buddhist tourist circuit and that market, certainly we are going to tap around 20% of the tourist flow, which is actually originating from China and the countries those follow the Buddhism. So we are trying to work on these, and those circuits are to be built up. This connectivity is certainly a big problem. Connectivity, civic amenities, and also they are lacking with the hospitality units. Those are required on those places. So we are trying to inculcate all these things in the policy. We are also trying to explore not only the Buddhist, but other architectural monuments, temples, all these things we are trying to do. And as Mr. Dheeraj Kumar has rightly said, that the information and the advertisement is completely lacking about all these aspects. So there is a proper provision that how MEA can be linked and how the various countries and our the publicity campaign should be there to really explore the tourist places of India and how this can be
Right,
be
right.
allowed to attract the foreign tourists in our country.
Mr. Mishra,
And not only this, even
Right.
the domestic tourism side is quite
Yes.
big. Around 2,322 million domestic tourism is there, domestic tourist visits. So even those also need to be explored. It should not be confined to the limited destinations, what has been already cited by Mr. Dheeraj Kumar, that we are going either Simla or going either Manali or Goa. Much more beyond is there, much more beyond the history is there, much more beyond the architectural beauty is there. So
Right.
all this needs to be really promoted and advertised.
Mr.
That's
Mishra,
how
right,
we are trying.
yeah, Mr. Mishra, before I go off to Dheeraj Kukreja here, the Ministry of Tourism and Culture has a program called Dekho Apna Desh. This is primarily for, say, Indians or local tourism, so that they are encouraged to see certain spots in our country. And Prime Minister himself laid emphasis that, we should at least by year 2022, in one of his, Independence Day speech, he asked or urged the local tourists to at least one should visit 15 major tourist spots across the country. How far do you see the response of local tourists has been towards this initiative? I know last year has been extremely difficult, so minus that facet of COVID-19, but local tourism, how enthusiastic are they towards exploring our own country?
You see, Indians would like to travel. Indians would travel. There is no problem. But the problem lies in infrastructure. The problem lies with the parking. The problem lies with the non-availability of signages, proper signages. I was wanting to drive to Ayodhya recently, and I drove past the turn that I had to take, and only to return 20 kilometers because there were no proper signages. Something as important as that. I just went to Manali, and the road from it took me so long to reach Manali. There's a road winding job which is going on, but it's going on for ages, decades. No, so the next time I'll go there, I do not know when and how soon. So I think what we need to do is to get to the basic. I think we need somebody like a CEO.
Right, there seems to be some problem at the end of Mr. Kukreja. Mr. Mishra, if you're there with us, we were discussing about, say, domestic tourism. How enthusiastic you've seen that Indian domestic tourism has been towards our own heritage sites? Avinash Mishra ji.
So actually, you see, the awareness, the lack of awareness is a major issue here. You find that a lot of Indian domestic tourism is there, which is finding its way towards the Taj Mahal. But very less you will find going towards the Chittorgarh or other places. There are various other sites. For instance, Mahabalipuram, which where the Honorable Prime Minister had a discussion with the Chinese president over there. Then only the many Indians could realize there is also a monument which is worth seeing. So there are many places, architectural treasures, or rather I would say, those are unexplored by the Indians themselves. So there is a lack of awareness, there is a lack of the advertisement or the promotion. That all is required to be generated. Like for instance, whenever there is a question of yoga or wellness, we all know that Kerala, there is something in Kerala. But there are many other places also where these wellness are there and which is to be promoted. So all these things, I think the awareness campaign and promotion and a good budget for advertisement and all should be there. And that we are working. As initially I said, that augmented reality, virtual reality, developing the website of the international standard, that's all is required. And that's how we have to do, we need to do. We are only having the 1.2% of the global tourism share. Despite in the global ranking, we are at out of 144, 139 country, we are at 34th position. So it needs to be improved. The France, for that matter, is a smaller country as compared to us, but they have got the quite a good tourist attraction. Maybe because of Eiffel Tower and this, so only few places, and they are exploring. we need to really see how we can go ahead with so
Right.
many architectural heritage with us.
Absolutely, absolutely. A lot to explore and realize our tourism potential. Yes, Mr. Kukreja, unfortunately, we lost you while you were talking about extremely important aspect of fixing smaller things to actually arrive at a bigger scale. So how important are those small things? As you mentioned, just an analogy, a small turn will make you lose 20 or say 30 minutes. And that is a nagging problem sometimes. Sir, please go ahead.
And you see, not only that, once you reach the destination, then you find that it's extremely difficult to find a proper parking, and then the local transport, and decent restaurant to eat. You see, if you have to walk, you see, there are days when you go to a place and there's the entire day you don't eat because unless you carry something for you. And I went to Sariska last year, and you see, everybody goes to Sariska for the wildlife. I thought, let me also go and see the other places. So I went to. There's a lake palace which is operated by the RTBC, and
yes.
very beautiful location, very nice place on the lake. And you see, you go to the restaurant and the monkeys all over. You see, you sit down there and the food is taken away. You go inside, they have very limited things to offer. So all you can get is a pakora and a cup of tea in an extraordinary site. You see, that site is one to die for. You see, beautiful lake with boats, and you're right there, and then all you can order is a cup of tea and pakoras. And be scared of the monkeys. You can't sit out. So this you see, we need to get into detail in making something and then operating it is very, very different. You see, like I say, serving hot tea hot and a cold drink cold sounds very simple, but you see, unless you do it with heart and unless you do it with a standard operating procedure, it doesn't happen. I think the government should get out of maintaining or operating these hotels or places and give it away to the private operators to operate. They will do a far better job. They will also find a way to take care of this menace of monkeys, if I may use this word again. And there's so much more.
Right.
See,
Mr. Kukreja, sir, time is short here. I just need a small reaction on what you said from Mr. Mishra, and then we have to wrap the show. Mr. Mishra, you want to respond to that?
Yeah.
What Kukreja sir was saying?
Yes, it is well acknowledged actually that the government should get out with the hospitality industry particularly, and the hospitality units should be managed by the entrepreneurs. We are developing many hospitality units in Andaman Nicobar and similarly in Lakshadweep, and these we are bringing in PPP model where the private entrepreneurs would be leased out for a longer period, and they will only manage because they are globally connected. They know what are the SOPs. They know how to maintain it, and also they know how to advertise the
right. Mr.
place.
Mishra, right. We have to.
Certainly, government is very much acknowledging this fact that, and also it has been spoken by the Honorable Prime Minister in the Lok Sabha that Babus are not there to maintain the hotels and to fly the airlines and all. So certainly, it's an acknowledged fact. We do accept it.
Right. Many thanks, Mr. Avinash Mishra from Niti Aayog for expressing as to what you expect from new draft policy, and many thanks, Dheeraj Kukreja, CEO, Piccadilly Hospitality Industry, to basically what this sector wants and what needs to be done so as to arrive at the world stage and of course contribute and become a huge tourist potential. Well, many thanks to our viewers for watching this edition of Discussion today. Thank you. Goodbye.